All right, everybody, welcome back to the Milligenics podcast here. You've got your host here, Master Roshi, and my good friend as always.
Sensei, how are you guys doing?
All right, man. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great, man. Thank you so much, man. I went out for a nice walk earlier today. I had a heck of a nice workout. I feel great. I'm trying something different. For the last couple of weeks in my workout, I'm doing calisthenics circuits uh, combined with yoga.
Mmm.
So I do maybe like 10 minutes of yoga, then I do 10 minutes of calisthenics, then I do another 10 minutes of yoga, and I do it like that. And so far it's been good. So we'll see how it goes.
All right.
And maybe later on I might just do, uh, the first part of my workout is calisthenics, and then the second part is yoga. I'll switch it up a little bit, but that's what I'm doing now, and it feels really good.
And speaking of switching up, I think that's basically one of the themes for today's episode. I think we're going to try to do things a little bit differently in terms of this episode than we've done before. The topic, though, is going to be about healthy relationships. And as of today, I have learned that we are no longer in a pandemic, Sensei. So technically, we are in an endemic, which basically means that the COVID is going to be treated as though it's a flu, and it's just something that we're going to have to live with for the next couple of years. So we've kind of transitioned away from the pandemic, from my understanding today. So I just wanted to make that point, for people. This is something that we're going to have to live with. And I think the effect that it's going to have on our relationships going forward obviously has changed. And if it hasn't, it's going to change. So that's basically what we're going to talk about today. We don't have a script per se. We don't really have an outline. I think we're just going to kind of really be casual and just open, about how our relationships have been in this pandemic, now endemic, and the things that we have done personally to try to maintain some sort of healthy, connection with our family, our friends, our colleagues. So I'm gonna kick it off to you, Sensei, as I normally like to, and just kind of open up the floor and just get your perspective on what that has been so far for you. I know you kind of like talked about it here and there in some episodes, but we're just gonna basically really dive into it. So I give it to you. You got the
Okay.
mic.
All right. So Master Roshi, what's today's date? Today is the 15th.
Hmm.
Um, we went on the pandemic on the 16th, I believe, is when everything closed down, at least here in New York City.
Okay.
So we are 11 months into this. All right. For me to tell you that everything is fine, no, it isn't. It isn't fine. Um, Trying to make the best of the present circumstances, but it isn't fine. I'm struggling. But I, but like I've mentioned in other shows, I have a structure to follow that I know it's important to keep my mental health intact, even when I don't want to do it. Because there are days when I feel like nothing is worth it. It doesn't matter. But then that's that little virus trying to get inside my head. And what I try to do is I do maintenance,
Hmm.
and I don't allow that to happen. So I work out even though I may not want to. I go for my walk even though I may not want to. Even though the weather might be less than desirable, I know that in order for me to be mentally strong, I have to do these things. So there's a wealth of things that I do that I'm not really too happy about doing it.
Hmm.
At times, there are days when I get up and I can't wait to work out. I can't wait to do it. I can't wait for a walk. But then there are days when I don't want to do it. but I pushed myself through.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to manage my thought process through some actions.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, right now, one of the things that it might sound silly to some folks, but in my class, when I'm teaching my class, I'm making a hard request for everyone to be public
Mm.
because I'm noticing that more and more uh, people are going private.
So you're saying they're withdrawing more and more.
They're withdrawing
Mm-hmm.
more and more, and they don't even realize it. And then you see them that they don't look happy.
Mm.
Um, they look withdrawn.
Right.
Um, and then they add to it by saying, I don't want to deal with this. I just be on private and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand. I get it. There are times when I go private too. I try not to.
So, Sensei, I just want to understand here what you mean. So, I'm assuming that you're saying that when they go on private, that means they go off camera, so
They
they
go
don't turn
off
on their
camera.
video. Okay,
Yes,
okay,
they go off video. They go on private.
yeah,
All I see is just their name,
I see
and
that
I'm
too.
hoping that they're listening to me. So what I decided to do is that put a hard request that everyone must be in public.
Hmm.
All right. Couple of things for it. Okay. First, it allows me to see who's in my class. All
Right.
right. And who's who, because when I have to evaluate people, I can make the connection. At the end of the training, I have to do evaluations and grades. And when I see just a screen with just names, it's hard for me to put a point of reference
Yeah.
to who. So so by doing that, it helps me getting to know the student and getting to know that this name is attached to that face. All right. Another thing is that, like I was telling my students, this right here, what we have right now, is probably all we got for some of
Hmm.
us.
Right.
And why would I want to, knowing that, realizing that this is all I have, that I don't want to participate? And I get it, our minds creates more of whatever thought process we have. You start thinking about depression, guess what? You're gonna be thinking more and more about depression. Even the fact that you want to stop depression, but just the fact that depression is in your mind, it becomes that cycle.
So Sensei, I wanna interrupt you for a second there because I think I know where you're going with this, and I could kind of see it myself. Is like if I'm a student, and I'm in one of your classes, right? The way I would think about it is, what's the point? What's the point of being on video? Probably no one cares that I'm on video, so why does it matter?
Right.
You know?
And then that's what I try to tell them, that it does matter.
Mm,
It matters for everyone, because now when there's a joke or
mm,
interaction, you see other people smiling, and then you smile together.
mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was telling them, if we go another year like this, when we go back outside and everybody's off camera in private mode, we're not going to even be able to read facial expressions. We're not going to be able to be socially adept because we won't be able to pick up those social cues. So even though I can tell that they don't like to be in public, uh, I tell them that it's for the best,
For their development,
for
basically.
their development, for when
And
they go out there and they start going to job interviews,
right.
and they have to uh, uh, um, read each other's cues to know what I should say during this interview and what I shouldn't say during the interview. You're gonna go out there and perhaps meet, the man or the woman that's gonna change your life. And how are you going to be able to read those cues to see if this is the right person for you? Because otherwise, you're just going to go ahead and not be able to pick up and make more, perhaps even more mistakes
Mm.
in your life. So that's one of the things that I'm doing to help my sanity, and also to help the sanity of my students. I encourage them to pick up the phone and talk to a friend
Hmm.
and avoid texting. Texting is
Hmm.
good. There's nothing wrong with texting. But a conversation is just a little bit faster.
They're just
Oh,
fragments,
right.
at the end
And,
of the
and there are
day.
times when, a conversation over the phone might be 10 minutes, but on text, it could be an hour. And it might be even miscommunication in
Hmm.
that hour. But with a casual conversation with 5 or 10 minutes, you can clear things up. So I encourage them to do that. I also encourage them to do those FaceTimes with their
Hmm.
family and loved ones. I spoke to my mom earlier today. We spoke for about an hour. That was therapeutic. Um, I spoke to you earlier today. That was fun. And doing this right now, it's an exchange of two human beings, magnified by YouTube. Uh,
Technology.
yeah, but it's an exchange that I'm having. So I look forward to doing these things as an addition to my therapy in managing myself and relationships around me.
Yeah, and I want to address like the workplace because I feel like that has definitely had a dramatic change. Because in the past, I mean, we probably been on meetings and we didn't want to be on video. We felt like audio was good enough where we could listen and, just get whatever needed to be done. Um, I in some of the meetings that I have, so I have daily meetings with my coworkers, and it's great. We in the beginning of the pandemic, it wasn't that way. I think because everybody was so disconnected that they felt like it wasn't worth, um, being able to have a consistent time every day to talk, right? And a lot of times we're not working. I mean, honestly, we're not talking about work stuff. We're talking about stuff that's going on personally with our family or projects that we're working on. So that takes up the bulk of our time. I know for other people it's different. They may just be talking about work stuff and that's it. But it's good because it's therapy.
Mhm.
It's a point in the day where I could kind of be able to you know just release a little bit. Just some of the stuff that I'm working on and going through, and it's great. And we're all on video. You know, I've been on other meetings that don't happen so frequently. And I still see people not getting on video. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Mhm.
It takes away from the fact that I already can't see you, right? And now you're adding to that effect,
Right.
so that bond that maybe we had, it's not doing anything to kind of improve,
Mhm.
that. So that's what I'm seeing in terms of the workplace, that dynamic. Just in some ways, it is good, and in other ways, it is worse. I look forward to you know seeing people, so I make a conscious effort every time Sensei to try to be on video. You
Mhm.
know, I'll flip my computer open because I have a webcam on it, so I have to open up the lid, and that's a conscious, extra effort that I have to do. In terms of family, you talked about your mom, so I'll talk a little bit about my mom. She calls me every day. She's deaf, so WhatsApp is what we use, and she knows how to use it. She knows what to click, and she calls me every night at like 10, 11 o'clock. Some days she doesn't do it, but that's okay. She does it more than me, so I'm a bad son. But that's our way of communicating. You know, that's the new norm right
Right.
now that we're all going through.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And we have to be more empathetic
Hmm.
to that because there are folks that are withdrawing, and that's a side effect.
Yeah.
That's a side effect. Withdrawal is a side effect. They don't see it, but all I can do is just be a little bit more empathetic, be a little bit more understanding,
Hmm.
and not be judgmental when they're going through this. We
Or
have to,
coming out of it.
Right. Like for example, like right now, you know, I'm experimenting now, right? So
Please
today I went
elaborate.
and I joined the gym.
Okay.
All right. Because like you said, it's endemic now, right? It's something that we have to learn how to live with.
Right.
And there is such a thing as a herd immunity also, where you have to that yes, you should be isolating to keep clear of the virus. But when you're completely isolated, your immune system becomes weaker because you're not around any germs.
Right.
And now at that moment, you become more prone to actually catching it. So it's a double-edged sword. So what I decided to do, and I'm hoping that I'm right, but also because it's 11 months now, and you know, I was a very social person. And now with this pandemic, I'm not as social as I was. So what I decided to do is I joined the gym. I'm going to start going to the gym as of tomorrow. See how that works out. And at the end of the month, for the beginning of March, I'm going to start going to my dance classes and add another element of society, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
into my life. Before I welcomed my alone time.
Mm.
I loved my alone time. I welcomed it. I cherished it. I
Because it
enjoyed it.
was a luxury. It was a
Yes, it was a
luxury.
luxury.
Mm-hmm.
All day between classes, being around,
Mm. Right.
hundreds of people, okay, every day, different groups of people, different students, plus faculty and the transportation, you know, and then in the mornings before going to work, I will go to the gym. So that's more people. Then at night, I will go to my dance schools. So my dance school, so there's more people. So I was constantly surrounded by people, large amounts of people all day, almost every day.
Right.
And then on weekends, I will go out and practice my dance skills. All right, with again more people.
Mm-hmm.
So when Sunday came around, it was like, oh, Sunday, no
Relief.
people,
Yeah.
just Sensei, and now I can think of ways of how I'm going to manage my week and how and deal with some of the mistakes that I have made perhaps during the week and how I can improve myself for the following week and keep kind of my goals intact and then doing it again. But right now, there is no break. Everything is just. Sometimes I don't even know what day it is. It's hard for me to tell the days
Mm-hmm.
at times. I don't know if it's Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. It's hard because everything has become like you know when you have like when you're driving in the snow and you have that white out where everything is just you can't tell the depths. Everything is just white. That's how it feels. Like everything is just days and not knowing the depths of what is it? Is it Monday? Is it Tuesday? Is it
I would
Friday?
I would say it's like Groundhog Day, honestly. Like
Right,
the movie
every single day,
Groundhog Day.
right?
Mm-hmm. No matter what you do, it's still the same. Being limited in what you can do, there's just a lot of restrictions,
Mm-hmm.
as far as what you can do. And then just the whole shift in the culture. People fearful of going outside, so they order in. But I wanna talk about one of the things you mentioned because I thought it was so important. Is that when we were outside of this pandemic, pre-pandemic, we had all these people, all these relationships, all these interactions that almost overwhelmed us. And you needed that bit of time to yourself to reprieve, to kind of let go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's the thing that people are missing most right now are those interactions, getting to meet new people, seeing somebody at a store or like a party or something like that. And I think that's the thing that's making people suffer so much, is that human interaction, those feelings of surprise, that element of surprise, the being able to flirt with people, things like that. You can't really do that with a mask. So I get people's suffering and pain. I really do.
Absolutely. And the thing is that even a lot of the people that I known before that they used to say, "Oh, I hate people," they're realizing that they're being wrong.
Right.
11 months later, they realize that they were wrong. That people are not perfect. Most people are good people. Oh, we
Yeah.
make stupid mistakes. Absolutely, we make stupid mistakes, but most people are good people. We may make some mistakes that make us look like we're bad people, perhaps, according to someone else's point of view. But a lot of times, most of the times, I don't think we have this elaborate master plan
Mhm.
to destroy your friend or to destroy your coworker or to destroy your wife. It's just a lot of times it's just our own internal thoughts that make us think that there's a master plan out to get us.
Mhm.
So one of the things that I noticed too is that the introverts, many introverts are also hurting.
Yeah.
They long for relationship too, because part of their part of the way they were or they are is that when they were around a lot of people, they used to just keep to themselves.
Right.
But there was that element of a lot of people for them to keep to themselves. But now they just keep to themselves without the element of a lot of people.
There's not a choice,
Right,
basically. The choice is
right.
already made for you.
The choice is already right. So then now it's different because they enjoyed being an introvert because there was a lot of people.
Hmm.
So it's almost like that show Stranger Things, man. Everything is upside down. But the best way that you can do keeping a healthy relationship is make your calls.
Hmm.
Go on public setting. Don't go private. Okay, try to be as public as possible. All right, you can. It's usually for an hour or two, perhaps, if you're doing class, a particular subject, or with a friend. But remember, once you turn that off, there's nothing else. So welcome that little bit of interaction that you have, even though you might not think it's important. It's highly important.
Hmm.
You might think that an hour, having to do this for an hour. Oh gosh, oh my God. But when you put it in a week, you did this for 5 days. You did this 5 hours. When you put it in a month, you did it for 20 hours. Okay. When you do it for a month, for a year, um, it can very well be, for 200 hours, 250 hours,
Hmm.
depending. That becomes a health maintenance. Okay. You don't have to have the full shot in one day. It's just maintenance. A
Little
little
doses, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of those every single day just to keep you right there. And I think that's what's helping me. Yes, there are better days than others, but I don't feel like some of the things that I've heard people feeling.
Hmm.
I don't feel um, I don't feel depressed. I feel isolated.
Hmm.
That
That's a
I
good
agree
way. That's a
with,
good way of putting it. Okay.
you know. But saying that I'm depressed, I don't feel depressed. Would I be happier? Yes, I can be
I'm.
happier.
I feel.
Absolutely.
I'm the same way.
But to say that I'm a depressed person because of what's going on, I don't think so. But I can see this, Master Roshi. I see the depression in my students' eyes when I make them go public, when I tell them not to be in private, and I see it, and I wish I can shake them and say, just do this.
Hmm.
I just do it. Even if you don't want to do it, just do it. You'll see the difference. But you know, it's a journey that only they can do, unfortunately.
Right.
I had a graduating class last week, and most of the students were in private
Mm.
during graduation. And I kept telling them, this is your graduation. We're gonna give you a link to this. 20 years from now, when you look at this, your achievements with your kids or your grandkids, you don't even have a picture to show that you were there, just your name. And it really is unfortunate, because one of the things that I notice about my life, for example, and I keep telling them, like when I was younger, I didn't want to take pictures of my achievements. Oh, that's silly. Graduation, that's stupid. But now, Master Roshi, at my age, I wish I had those memories.
Yeah, it's like those missed moments. Like, I did go to my graduation, but I missed my prom, and I just wasn't confident at the time. I didn't feel like I was popular in high school, so I felt like there was a lot against me,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I didn't go. Also money, prom is expensive. You got to rent a tux and all those other things. But you're right; those are moments that you will never get back.
Yeah, and yet they take a picture of what they had for breakfast.
Hmm.
So what's going to happen 20 years from now? Oh, look, this is what I was getting for breakfast. Who gives a shit? As opposed to maybe a graduation achievement, something that you think that you did and you got recognized for, as opposed to twerking or meal that brings no value
Hmm.
uh, to your loved ones. It only brings value to complete strangers that have nothing to do with your life.
Right.
Oh wow, look at her twerking. Oh wow, that's a nice meal. Who cares?
Hmm.
It's insane how I tell my students, I don't understand. It's like it's backwards. I'm trying to get it. We live in a selfie world, but yet nobody wants to be seen.
Hmm.
I don't get it.
Well, I think it comes down
I guess it's
to.
saturated, right? We've been so saturated with so much that the things that matter doesn't matter anymore, and the things that doesn't matter now. I don't know.
No, I think there is definitely an oversaturation in terms of the response that you can get from people, right? So on one hand, you might do something in person that doesn't get the reaction that you wanted, but you do something online on YouTube or somewhere else, and it's a totally different reaction, and that's what you're going for. You get comments and you get likes and all these other things. But I don't want to digress, because I think that there's definitely going to be some uh, issues, in terms of mental, personality that will come out of this. I think what I can only give the advice of things that I do that I feel like get benefit what I've been doing in terms of keeping healthy relationships with my family, my friends, like yourself, right? So you know me, and I've always called people. I always saw the value in that, because we've gotten to a point now where we kind of check in with a text, and sometimes we don't get a response from people until maybe days later, weeks later, sometimes months later. And it makes you feel diminished. I've known this person for so long, and wow, like you can't respond, but you have to be understanding. And I think that's the thing that people have to remember, is you don't know what's going on in that other person's life, right? So you have to be understanding. If you send them a text message and they don't write back to you, don't get upset. Don't take it personal. What I like to do is I call people, and if they don't respond, I leave them a voicemail message. Yes, I do that, people. I leave voicemails. Whether or not they check it, it doesn't matter, because at least I put the effort in. And that's the thing that I want to drive home and make a point of, as long as you make the effort. Whether they make the effort or not, that's on them. That's not on you. And they can never say that you didn't. So I'll call people, leave a voicemail, I'll send a text message, and then I leave them alone. I don't harass them. I don't recommend that. Leave them alone. Let it simmer for a little bit. Maybe they're going through something. Maybe they're away, whether physically or mentally. You know what I mean, Sensei? and just
Hmm.
leave it be. And then at some point they will get back to you. And especially now, I know one of the things that I sometimes get caught up in is the fact that I'm like, well, what are you doing? You're home. You should be able to respond. So even with that in mind, I say to myself, you know what? Again, I don't know what they're going through. Like today, I sent a text message to a friend because I was interested in having her on our podcast, and she said her grandmother is not doing well. And I didn't hear back for a little while. Um, but yes, there are things going on in people's personal lives that we don't know about. All we can do is try from time to time, reach out, and let people know that we care. I think that's the biggest takeaway, Sensei, that I can leave with people is that you still have to show that you care,
Hmm.
um, and see what happens. Hopefully, they take that with a grain of salt and they show you some love in return. And I'm sure you probably experienced the same thing with some of
No,
your friends and
absolutely.
family.
I mean, yesterday you were trying to contact me, and I turned off my phone because I had such a huge migraine.
Right.
I couldn't even look at the light of the phone. It hurt too much. Reading hurt because my migraines it's not a headache. It's a brain ache. My
Yeah.
brain hurts. I can feel my brain hurting, and my eyes.
And your brain's not supposed to feel anything. you know, your brain can't feel pain.
Well, I feel like it throbs
Right.
and it's awful. So I I shut my phone off. I just shut
Yeah.
it off. My mom was trying to contact me. You were trying to contact me. I was supposed to go to a party, a little get together yesterday. I sent them a text and I said I'm not going to be able to go. And they were trying to contact me too. But I was like, I know they're going to. So I knew that they were going to try to contact me, and because I didn't want to deal with having to tell people that I'm really sick, I just turned off my phone.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sometimes
and
no
today
response. Sometimes no response is just better. Honestly.
yeah, because I just couldn't, so like you said, there might be things going on. That's what was going on with me. It wasn't that I didn't care about your phone call.
Mhm.
It wasn't that I didn't care about my mother. It wasn't that I didn't care about my other friends that were trying to contact me. Um, I just felt like I just needed a break from everything and let my brain uh, get back to working order. And then today I started responding back. I spoke to my mom. I spoke to you. Spoke to another friend. So now I'm back. Now I'm back. But yes, absolutely. Be very empathetic. You don't know what's going on. Another one of my students, for example, he left class, uh, uh, you know,
Halfway through.
without letting anybody know.
Yeah. Halfway
He
through
just left
class.
class. But to later find out that he found out that his wife ended up was giving birth. Um, we should do a write up and already planning.
Right.
Um, and what I ended up doing was I sent a message saying, hey, I noticed that you didn't you didn't stay till the end of the class. Notice that you left. I hope everything is okay with you and your
Right.
family. Let me
Understand
know if I can be
definitely.
of any assistance. Because these are grown-ups. I'm not dealing with kids,
Yeah.
these are grown-ups. And even if it was a child, I will give the benefit of the doubt, you
Hmm.
know. And then later on, after I hear my response, and then I'll say, okay, you know what, you just decided to leave. But this is when he opened up and say, oh, thank you so much for reaching out. I'm really sorry I had to leave. But right now, I'm at the hospital right now, and my wife is in the middle of labor.
Right.
So so even though he was in the hospital, he still took time to respond to me.
Right. And he didn't have to. He didn't
He
have
didn't
to.
have to, because his wife is, she's giving birth. So he didn't have to deal with that. He could have said, you know what, I'll deal with this tomorrow.
Yeah.
But he did. He responded, and I said, okay, and then his thing is like, I hope this doesn't affect me with my schoolwork. I said, listen, focus. This is what's more important,
Right.
right?
Right.
Your wife and your child. We'll figure this out later.
Yeah.
All right. Just focus on that, and then once you feel more comfortable, let's see. And he took a day off. The next day he decided to take an additional day. And then after that, he sent an email saying, thank you so much for the flexibility and understanding. And now he has even a bigger purpose to finish his training, because now he has an awesome little boy. But yes, don't assume the worst, because that's what you
Especially,
think.
and Sensei, I would want to add that and say, especially when they have credibility,
Hmm.
right? Like they've shown for a long time that they are dependable, they're consistent, and then maybe they just had a bad day.
Yeah, that's it. Like nowadays, this is what it is.
Hmm.
You know, everybody's together. My cat sometimes gets into my meetings. All right, I see kids, and I have a student that she got like 3 kids. They're all little kids, and I see one of them pulling her hair one time while the other one is pulling her shirt. So she's being pulled in from all different directions while she's still in class and while she's still doing great. So I find that to be fascinating, that with all those distractions, she's able to maintain a good scores
Yeah.
uh, throughout this. So absolutely be thoughtful, be empathetic, practice customer service. I think now is the time to practice, to be more courteous and to exercise more customer service than ever before. Not just with strangers, but with the loved ones and the people that deserve your kindness and your caring.
And one tip that I would give people that they could do to maybe improve um, or increase their healthy relationships with people and friends. If they feel like people are becoming more and more disconnected, use the technology to your advantage. You can have happy hours. I did a happy hour a while back with my coworkers and stuff, and we weren't drinking or anything. We were just kind of presenting our family. We were sharing fun jokes and things like that. So you could do that with your friends. Have a happy hour one Friday or Saturday night. You get together and you just talk and have some drinks. And if you don't want to do alcohol, that's fine too. You guys can play games online. That could be pretty cool. So there's different ways that you can channel this energy that we have. I think the thing about it is that we're social creatures. You said that many times, Sensei, and we gravitate to want to have some social interaction with people. It's just the way we were created. We weren't created in isolation. I mean, look at Adam and Eve, right? They were created as a pair because you can't have somebody live by themselves. That's a choice. That's a choice you can make.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of the nutshell problem that we're in right now, is that we have these feelings like we want to be with people, but at the same time we really can't.
Mm-hmm.
But I love what you're doing. I think going out, stepping out, taking a chance, going to the gym, getting that membership, and just seeing what flows with that. I think that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm gonna see how it goes. At first I didn't want to do it. I haven't gone to the gym
Yeah,
since the beginning.
yeah,
Once it closed down, that was the end of it. And I've been just focusing on working out at home, and that's fine. It's been working okay. I don't mind it. Uh, but a year later, let me try something different. Let me add another element, and see how that works out.
yeah.
I'm not gonna be there to. Usually I don't talk in the gym. It's not like I'm socializing in the gym. I see people doing that all the time. Uh, and for me, I've always had, like, you know what, this is the time slot that I have to go to the gym, and that's it. I'm gonna
Right.
go from this time to this time, and talking to people is just gonna distract me.
Hmm.
Uh, so so what I do is I'll be courteous though to people, and that's all I need. Hi, good morning.
Hmm.
Hi. That, I think that will make me happy. Just having that eye contact with somebody, male or female, nodding, good morning, and keep walking. That's all I think I need right now to keep me balanced. We don't have to shake hands. We don't have to
Right.
hug. We don't have to, talk about, things. Just knowing that there are human beings around me as I'm doing my thing might be helpful. Now, when I go to my dance class in March, I'm looking into going. So in about 2 weeks, that's a little bit different because that I have to actually touch people, and it's going to be a little bit closer because you're dancing, and you won't be dancing with one person. You'll have to rotate and dance with multiple people. Now they have it set up really nice at my studio. Uh, Before we used to get jam packed in there, man,
Mm-hmm.
jam packed in there with just so many people. Now it's not like that. Now they have little circles on the floor, and each circle represents a person, and then 6 feet. So it's a circle every 6 feet uh, to represent the social distance. Um, Everybody is respectful of it. Okay, everybody respects their circle. Um, so that should be interesting too, because hopefully they have enough circles, because it's by demand now.
Mm-hmm.
Before, they'll squeeze you in there no matter what. It didn't matter. But today you're basically renting your circle.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So hopefully there's going to be some left. There's going to be some available ones, because if all the circles are taken, are rented by somebody, then they might not have any room for me. So I'll keep you posted on how it goes for March. Maybe I should probably start going there now to reserve my circle, so that by March I won't have any conflict. But that's how I'm maintaining my relationships, is by by having conversations,
Mm-hmm.
by using technology, you know, um, using this face to face,
Mm-hmm.
getting outside of the house and walking. That I think is one of the best therapies that I can give someone and that I can offer someone. If you don't have a friend, you've always been sort of like a loner, and that's okay. Take a walk. Take a walk and be alone in your thoughts, if that's what it is, or listen to your music, or listen to a podcast and listen to people talk. But believe me, that walk, even though you might hate it, it can be the beginning of a development for you. You'll be surprised at where that walk can take you mentally or physically.
Mm-hmm. And we got to wrap up here, Sensei. So, I know there's a big desire for people to get back to, normalcy. I mean, Valentine's Day just passed, and me and my wife had been driving around, just maybe going out and get some drinks. No, we didn't want to eat. We weren't hungry, and it was packed. I mean, the parking lots were packed. We were driving around, and the restaurants were packed. So we kind of left it alone. So I see that. I see people want to get back to it, and I understand. I really do. The only thing I can end with is try to reinvest in those relationships that you had with people prior to the pandemic. If you didn't make much of an effort, and you've been kind of withdrawn to yourself, take the time out to give somebody a call, a grandfather, an uncle, somebody. And like you said, Sensei, step out and do something for yourself too. Make yourself, in a way, feel better about being isolated. Get that walk in, get those hormones working, because you gotta release those feelings of anxiety, stress. I get it, I really do.
Yep. All right, so I think with that, I think we have a good amount of tips for folks. Okay. And just keep moving forward. That's all I
Yeah.
can say.
And
Pushing your body forward, walking, whatever it is, it works.
and we want to hear from you, so please, in the comments, reach out, let us know how you're feeling right now with all this. What are some of the things that you're doing to make your situation better in any way possible? We'd love to hear that feedback from you. So please share in the comments with us. We just want to know how you're doing. And thank you
Yeah.
so much. And we've got
And
more
press that
episodes
like
coming.
button. Don't forget to press that like button, everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. And be safe and stay strong.